We are nothing sacred. We are nothing sacred. We are nothing sacred.
With Maxwell Silverhammer.
We are nothing sacred. With cruise control. We are nothing sacred.
Oh, yes, bitches. Welcome. This is the Nothing Sacred interview. I am Maxwell Silverhammer.
And I am Cruise Control.
And we have quite the dude here who has not only an extensive history in military service, but also law enforcement. And he also is the owner of Cicada Tactical. So we'd like to welcome Jimmie Wright, a Jim of all trades. Jimmie, what's going on, man?
Hey, what's up? I wouldn't say all that, but yeah, that's me.
Hey, welcome, Jimmie. First of all, just like everybody who's involved with law enforcement and service, we'd like to thank you for your service. Not everybody can do that, and not everybody has the ability to do that kind of response work, any kind of capacity, military, first responders, police. So thank you very much for that, for doing that, man.
Yeah, thank you.
Absolutely. And I got some burning questions, but I guess I'll have to be patient. First off, are you still with the Brevard County Sheriff's Office or no?
Yeah, Brevard. Yeah, I'm with them. Been with them for 5 years. So
okay. I wasn't sure because the interview I heard was a little older. Well, let's go back, man. Let's talk about some of because obviously you started out in the military. And tell us. I like the story about the Army recruiter that came to your house, man. You got to tell that story.
Oh no, that was a Marine recruiter.
Our Marine recruiter.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So yeah, I took the ASVAB for the Marines just to get out of class. It was like in 11th grade. So, I took the thing, and the Marine recruiter came up to me and he goes, "You're a goddamn genius." He goes, "You can have any job you want in the Marines." So I was like, "Oh, okay." I said, in 11th grade, I wasn't even thinking about going in the military. Even though like my whole family's, all Army. I mean, my mom's maiden name is Army. So it's like everybody in my family was Army. So I'm sitting on the couch on a weekend, and this Marine recruiter shows up at the house in his Class A's and knocks on the door. And my dad's retired Army, 23 years. And so he answers the door and he goes, "What the hell do you want?" And the guy goes, "I'm here to talk to you about your son's future in the Marines." And he goes, "No, you're not." And he slams the door in the guy's face. And he looks at me. I'm sitting on the couch, and he goes, "Navy or Air Force? That's the only thing you can do." And I'm like, "Well, I'm sitting there eating like cereal going, I'm not doing either." So, but I went to the Air Force.
Wow. So what? Okay, how come he didn't want you going into the Marines?
I don't know. I guess he just didn't have a real good feeling with the Marines. Since he did 23 years in the Army. So, but I don't know. Just
weird.
So basically, but he also didn't say
Army.
Yeah,
which is weird because my sister was in the Army. So, and he didn't say anything to her, but
yes. So you're like, oh well, that's interesting,
right?
Oh, but then I went to the Army or the Air Force recruiter, and I told him, I go, "Yeah," I said, "the Marine recruiter said I was a goddamn genius," and he goes, "Well, I looked at your scores," and he goes, "I wouldn't say that."
Damn.
You can't have any job you want.
Oh,
awesome.
shit.
So you went. So then you decided to go into
what did you do in the Air Force? What was your official?
Well, my first 4 years, it was security police, but and this is kind of funny because growing up, this is way off track, but growing up, I wanted to be like a doctor or like a dentist or something like that. So I was going to go to school to be a dentist. Well, right after high school, I started going to school and realized I didn't like school. So that kind of went out the window. But when I signed up for the Air Force, I signed up as a dental assistant. And so then when I went down to MEPS in Miami, and I was supposed to fly out December 3rd, and I get there and they go, "Okay, you're not supposed to be here till the 16th." And so I came back home. So I went over there on the 16th, flew over to Texas, Lackland, and on day 5 you do this job verification thing, and I had my job, my paper, and I showed it to them. They go, "Oh, you were supposed to be here on the 3rd." And I was like, "Well, I told them I was supposed to be here on the 3rd." And they go, "Well," he goes, this paper is no good." They go, "We can either send you home or you can pick 5 new jobs and you can get one of those." And I was just like, I was like, I don't really want to do either one. I said, "Well, we'll give you a couple of days to think about it." But then right after that, they brought all the guys in. They had this recruitment video for pararescue combat control. So I was just like, oh, that sounds cool. And they go, well, they have tryouts tomorrow. So I went and did the tryouts, passed it, and then I said, well, I'm going to do this. So then I went and did I was going for pararescue, and 5 weeks in, I broke my leg, and they stuck me in security police. And I was just like, well, I'm just kind of doing this 4 years to get school anyway. So, but what I did was I was in the 742nd Missile Squadron up there, and I did 91st Missile Squadron convoys. So I was a 60 gunner for the nuke convoys for like priority resources, taken out to the missile field, now back and forth to the missile field and stuff like that. So I did that for 4 years. I was I went overseas twice. I went to Dahran and Saudi Arabia, and then I went to Turkey. I went to Incirlik there for a little while. It was fun, but that was just my first 4 years as active.
So this is because I'm thinking we're about the same age. I'm 49. So
yep, I'm 50. Yep.
Okay, so yeah, so that was
the same age as well. So
damn. So we probably, let's see, 90 by then, all that Desert Storm stuff, that was what, 95 or so? Or
No,
94,
earlier
91.
than that. Yeah.
91.
Yeah,
91.
Oh, I know, but
91.
I'm saying when you were there, when you were doing all the stuff, it was all that was done by then. Right?
All that was done. We were just doing like my two deployments were humanitarian deployments. Even though it was still considered a combat zone, it was just all humanitarian stuff. So
Oh, okay. Like supplies and stuff like that.
yeah, just keeping up with the locals and stuff like that, keeping basically just doing like police work for them and stuff like that.
Wow. Wow. Man.
Cool.
Well, okay. Then you from there you went to NASA?
Yeah. So after that, I got out of the military, and I came straight back to where I live, Cocoa Beach. Well, I say it's Cocoa, but nobody knows Cocoa. It's Cocoa Beach. So I came home, got a job, and it was just for like a recruiting company. I can't even remember the name of the company, but they were recruiting people and like hiring a bunch of different like a temp service.
Oh, okay.
And then at this time it was like probably I was out for maybe 6 months or something like that, and my hair was like all grown out like super long, and they came up and this guy comes up and he goes, oh, I failed. And I go, you failed what? And he goes, I failed the long gun, the M4. And I go, for what? And he goes, well, for NASA. And I go, NASA? And he goes, yeah. And I looked over at the guy that's running the business, and I go, you guys are hiring for security for NASA? And he goes, yeah. And I go, oh, can I put in for it? And he starts laughing because my hair is like super long. He goes, what the hell do you know about security? And I told him, and he goes, yeah. He goes, you want to go try shoot now? So I went and shot, and they go, oh, you shoot good. You want the job? So I was like, yeah. And he goes, you're gonna have to cut your hair. So I cut my hair, and I got a better job.
So just had a funny little thought. So basically, you've been in security ever since. So that's been kind of your specialty, right?
Pretty much. But I that's not what I wanted to do. But
I know that's what I'm saying. But the funny thing is that for life circumstances and whatever kind of changed everything you wanted to do, and now you've got all this experience, and your whole life just kind of switched gears. And now you're at security at NASA. Like when you started out, you're like, I think I'm gonna probably end up as a security in NASA. Like you never thought you would even consider that, probably, right? From the beginning.
No, hell no. I didn't even know they had shit. Like, I mean, because the funny thing is, my dad got out of the military in '79, and he taught nuclear weapons in Syndius Labs for years, and then he did nuclear components. He like traveled the world, calibrate nuclear components for the Army, and then he had his engineering degree in electronics. So before the shuttle program even took off, he retired out of Alabama, Huntsville, Alabama. So he moved the whole family down to Cocoa Beach, actually, and we lived in a pop-up. It was 5 kids lived in a pop-up camper, 2 dogs and a cat, and I was 4 or 5. And so I wasn't even in school yet. And my dad gave me a fishing pole, and he goes, here, go fish. And he goes, whatever you catch, that's what we're eating. So, I mean, my dad left the Army and went down here because he wanted to work on the shuttle program. And they kept saying, oh, no, you're overqualified. And then finally they gave him a job. And the day he got the job, we bought a house and moved into the house. But yeah, it's like for 6 months we lived in a pop-up camper.
that's, you just never know where you're going to end up. That's why I always hated that question. Where do you see yourself in 10 years? It's like, you don't really know, right?
Yeah.
Your plan was, I'll be a dentist. I'm going to do whatever.
Yeah.
And now it's, okay.
I just look back on that. I want to be a dentist. And I just kind of laugh. I was just like, what the fuck was that all about?
Yep. When you're a kid, you're like, I want to be this. You're like, do you know what that entails? You're like, yeah.
Like, did you even have an interest in oral anything? Like, not really. Huh?
No, I just one of my buddy's dad was a dentist, and I saw like the car he drove in the house he was in, and I was like, I think I want to do that. And then I looked more into it, and I was like, I found out like dentists have the highest suicide rate.
Oh shit!
Nobody likes a dentist. Nobody likes a dentist.
I'm just thinking of that song in Little Shop of Horrors. I'll be a dentist.
Yeah. Like so anyways, so you're obviously you got involved with NASA, and then of course you started branching off.
Well, that's okay. Well, the one thing I want to know, because you got in SWAT, you were actually a SWAT officer in NASA. What?
Yeah. So that's
what is the duty of that, dude? What do you do?
Well, we're actually there's only a few handful. I think there's 4. I think there's 4 full-time SWAT teams in the state of Florida. Like Dade, I think there's a nuke plant that's a full-time. But anyway, we're one of the 4, and we're kind of, I guess, if you want to put it as a tier 1 team for SWAT, we are, because we could do land, air, and sea. We're the only agency in the world that can shoot air to air. It was called the goalie defense. So from our Hueys, we had 60s, and then we went over to 240s, but we could shoot from the aerial platform to another aircraft, and it was like approved through Congress. But it's called goalie defense. I've been away from there for so long, and ever since the shuttle program went away, I mean, everything's kind of changed a lot. But but when the shuttle program was there, we had a lot to do. We did dignitary protection, so anytime a president came down, we were the QRF. Anytime the vice president came down, we were his primary security. So we only had one CAT team.
So QRF, that means
quick reaction force.
I was gonna say, yeah, you're using a lot of jargon, and we're two civilians. We have no military anything. So these are words that are like, huh?
But that's great. That's crazy. You just don't even realize like these things exist and how the pieces fit together. So
every time I tell them, oh, what'd you do? I was like, oh, I was on the SWAT team for NASA for 20 years, and they go, they have a SWAT team? I said, yeah, ever since 1979.
I'm sure you've gotten that question a lot. That's crazy.
God, all the time. And that's the first thing. It was, what the hell do you guys do? It's like,
that was my burning question.
It's huge. Like our property, it's 243,000 acres, so it's ginormous. People don't realize how big it is, and a lot of it's open, or not open, but it's like woodland and stuff like that. So we have to patrol all that too. And mostly it's like we do 2 security flights a week, and it's about an hour flight. So it encompasses, well, it did encompass. It doesn't anymore, but it would encompass Cape Canaveral Air Force Station, which now is Space Force Station, and KSC, Kennedy Space Center. So it goes from north. If you know anything about Florida, it goes from north Merritt Island all the way up to South Daytona. So it goes from Brevard County to Volusia County. So it's pretty big.
Wow. And you guys, was it an airplane that you guys flew in, or a heli? Sorry if our questions sound kind of stupid, but we're just...
no, that's fine. We had 4 Hueys. Helicopters, and then there were UH-1. And the cool thing about, so when I got on the team, and the funny thing about that is like, as soon as I got hired, we had guys, I didn't, they had a SWAT team, but I was doing like maybe on there for a week, and they said they had tryouts for SWAT, and I was just like, well, I was SRT, which is a security reaction team, so it's like SWAT, but I was on SRT in the military. So I was just like, well, I did it in the military, so I'll go ahead and try out. And it was like all the older guys that were on the team prior, they didn't want to try out again because they didn't like how the new company came in and did everything. So I was just like, well, whatever. And it used to be that you had to be working for them for 5 years before you can put in, but they didn't have enough people put in. So I was just like, well, I'll put in for it. Well, and NASA's always been good about having like their team's pretty badass. I can't say that now, but I haven't been out there in a long time, but it's ever since the shuttle program went away, it kind of went downhill. But we've always had great and well-known commanders to teach us and like lead us and stuff. So everything's like always been like our training. We trained. Well, I mean, I'm getting off topic. So anyway, I tried out, got on the team, and so I was only working for them for a week before I got on the team, and so I got a lot of flack for that too, like from the old guys are like, oh, they give me shit, you're supposed to be here for 5 years before you can even get on the team. I was like, well, it's not my fault that your buddies didn't try out again. So but,
but and by the way, it's okay to get off top. We're improvers, man, so we do that. We do it all the time.
Yeah, we just like to know about like his, because it's just so interesting how people get involved in what they're involved with, and it's never that usually simple. Like it's always something like, or it can be really simple, like well, I'm going to go here, and they decided that I was late, and for some reason, but anyway, yeah, don't worry about that.
yeah.
So, wow. So you did that for a couple of years, and then what made you leave NASA? You were just like, oh, well, nothing, they got rid of the program, or?
No. So, and NASA paid well. So, I mean, like even now working for Brevard, and this is what, 2025. And when I started with Brevard County Sheriff's Office, they started me at a step 7, so I didn't have to start at step 1. So they gave me money for having prior military and prior law enforcement. So even now, even being with them for 5 years, and I'm going on to a step 12, I'm not even making what I made when I started back in 1998 with NASA. So,
wow.
Yeah. So, and I mean, just all that government spending, it's true.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the cool thing is like anything that NASA, like anything we wanted, like when it came to weapon wise and oh, that's what I was going to talk about. I'll get back to that. But weapon wise and stuff like that, we got. Like, I mean, we were the second agency in the world to get H&K 416s, and the first group that got it was the CAG guys, the Delta guys in the military. They were the first ones to get it. So then we were the second. So that's kind of cool. And anything that we wanted from H&K, we got. We had like HK 21s, we had 36, 33s. Yeah, we had everything. So it was great. And but I was getting back, like when I first got on the team, when we flew, all our pilots were ex-Vietnam pilots. All our Hueys were ex-Vietnam Hueys. Like they had bullet holes that were riveted, that had metal riveted over top. Yeah, they were so fucking badass. It's cool to be, flying around in something like that.
Right. Oh yeah, it's like, hell yeah, and this thing's been through some shit.
Yeah. It's like, hey, what's this right here? Oh, that's a fucking bullet hole.
Wow.
We used to fly around with the doors open, and we'd be standing out on the skids with a gunner belt. So they have these little rings that they're all over the floor and they're all over the walls. And so one little clip would go into that ring, and the gunner belt would go around your waist, and you would like lean on it and like lean out. So I'd been doing that for years. And then I was getting ready and I was hooking up one of the gunner belts, and I looked over at the crew chief, the guy that takes care of the helicopter, and I go, hey, just curiosity, how many pounds do these rings hold per ring? And right when I did, I pulled it right off the wall, and I go, oh my God.
Oh, shit.
I said, yeah, I'm not using these things anymore.
Now, is that supposed to, like, it kind of acts as a belay to sort of hold you so you're fastened to the helicopter, or so you don't fall out? Okay.
Yeah, pretty much. So yeah, like I'm a rappel master, fast rope master, and stuff, fries master, and stuff like that. So after that, we took a cable and ran it through all the rings on the floor, and then we'd lock it so it was locked in completely all the way around. So there's no way in hell it would have came out. Because we fast rope, we rappel out of the helicopter and stuff like that. That's a lot of like even Brevard, they don't fast rope. They don't rappel or fast rope out of their SWAT team. They don't fast rope or rappel out of their. It's it's just a liability. So
right. God, that sounds scary as shit. Like standing on the skid of a helicopter while it's in the air, and
oh god, and it's so fun because like if you could see me, like I could show you. It's like they do these return to targets and stuff. So we had to qualify twice a year on the helicopter, and it's from air to ground, air to air. So we had 2 helicopters set up with Miles gear. So Miles gear is like it's like laser tag for the military. So they would set up Miles gear on one of the helicopters, and the other helicopter would have the blanks with the other portion of the miles gear, and you'd have to shoot at it while stationary and then while moving and stuff like that. And you had to be qualified, say, okay, yeah, I can hit this aircraft while I'm moving. So, but we do these things called return to targets. And we'd also shoot with our long guns, our 416s. We'd be hanging out, and they'd do a return to target. So they'd be flying straight, and they'd go straight up, and then do a flip a shitty, and come right straight back down. And man, it's so fun.
It was like kind of bungee jumping for you guys almost. Huh?
Yeah, that's what it felt like. You're weightless, so yeah. It was awesome.
I think that's kind of the difference between certain people, because like you go, Max is like, oh, it's scary as shit, isn't it? You're like, oh, it's so much fun.
The funny thing is like being in a helicopter, I'm not, I'm strapped in, but it's just like one little strap. It doesn't scare me. Like, I can hang out. It doesn't bother me at all. But like when we do rappel off the building and stuff like that, cause we went to the VAB, and that's 582 feet. And we were going to do a rappel off that. And I was like, we get up, it's like, nah, we're not doing it off the top of that. I mean, it's like one of those things. And this is funny because like I'll go up top of the building and I'll look down. And if I look up, I get like a tingling in my balls. It freaks me the fuck out. But I'll do that in an aircraft or any type of aircraft. And it doesn't bother me.
But being on a rooftop would fuck with you, but yet you can have no problem jumping out of a helicopter.
Yeah, it doesn't bother me.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, it's funny.
That's like I said, it's like, hey, that's we need people like that who are like, oh, this shit's terrifying. I'm having so much fun. Like me, I'm like, no, just nope.
I wouldn't have made it, man.
Yeah. I'm like, no, I'll stick me. But then again, some people are like terrified by public speaking. Well, I'm like, I can stand in front of like 500 people and I can talk. I do improv and perform.
Well, we were just talking about that about somebody who was scared to come on our podcast.
Yeah,
really?
We're like, that's scary to you?
Yeah.
So
exactly.
Well, I mean, we're that's the cool thing about the SWAT team too, is because we were all trainers. So that's one of the things that we did every year. We did a BTOC class, which is a basic tactical operators course. So anytime like all the agencies in our county and even out of county, like because you have to have 80 to 100 hours SWAT like a basic class to even be on a team. So we would give the class, and we'd certify all these people so they can go back to their agency and be on the SWAT team. So basically everybody on my team were all trainers. Everybody had their certain expertise. Like I was a firearms instructor, shoot house instructor, and rappel master and stuff like that. So for anything to deal with helicopters, I would do that. But we would in our first BTOX class, we would teach all the fast roping and stuff like that out of the helicopter and stuff like that. And we would do it's called helo casting. It's basically jumping out of the helicopter into the water, and we would teach that until one of our students fell out and broke his neck. So NASA's like, I mean, he's fine. He wasn't paralyzed or anything like that, but he cracked a vertebrae. So they got rid of that. So anything that dealt with helicopters and stuff like that, it would just be for a familiarization. They wouldn't do anything like that. But yeah, so I'm pretty good with getting in front of people and talking as well. Just depends on who it is, I guess.
So, so then you went. So obviously now you're at a part of a sheriff's department. How big is the area that you cover, and what do you exactly do there now? Differently than what you were doing before. Obviously, it's majorly different. But
I would. It's huge going from a federal position to a state. For state or county, basically, because. Like for NASA, I didn't have to do, burglaries. I didn't have to do batteries or anything like that. It's, basically my whole thing was dignitary protection. And basically we were an insurance policy that if active shooter or anything like that broke out, that we would, we'd be their policy. So when it comes to being a deputy, it's night and day. But yeah, I left NASA to go work for SpaceX for a year. And that's because you asked me why did I leave NASA, is because money wise, SpaceX, paid more. So
and you were doing the same thing for them, or
kind of. It's funny because that that company it's a great company, but and they pay well, and everybody there is super nice. But the job was like unfulfilling for me because they actually hired me as a to try to be a liaison between NASA and SpaceX. Because when I got hired, which was 2019, yeah, the beginning of 2019, they NASA and SpaceX really didn't get along too well because SpaceX was launching and killing it, right? And NASA was like they hadn't had a spacecraft in forever, and
Yeah.
and they're still not doing well. So their thing was they were going to hire me to try to get SpaceX to be armed because all their security was unarmed.
Oh,
But
interesting.
I told them straight up, I was like, before you even hire me, I said, I can tell you right now that that's not going to happen because NASA has they have protective services, they have fire, law enforcement, all that's theirs. They're not going to give any of that up because
Yeah.
that's their policy. So, I told them it's not going to happen, and sure enough, my first meeting because they hire me, and it took 5 interviews to even get that job. When I was told on the first interview that, oh, you got it, you just got to go through, all these interviews and stuff like that. So anyway, I did, and so my first meeting, I don't want to throw this guy's name out there, but he's in charge of NASA Protective Services, and him and I are like, really good because I was on the competition team for NASA for 17 years, so I did all their competitions and stuff like that, SWAT competitions, and so they were all like always there watching it and stuff like that, and they're super supportive. But I went and I had a meeting with them, and I said, hey, um, this is what's going on. Can what do you think? And the meeting was an hour and a half long. And within the first 15 minutes, he told me to shut the fuck up and get out of his office.
Whoa.
And I was just like, oh my God. So then one of the other guys that works in NASA Protective Services runs in and he goes, whoa, calm down, calm down. He goes, what's going on? And then I was just like, I didn't like the answer. So that he gave me that, it's never going to happen. I said, okay. I said, well, can I have the name of your boss so I can talk to him? And well, that's when he told me to shut the fuck up and get out of his office.
Wow.
So then the other guy comes in and he calms everything down, and they tell me a little bit about the relationship between NASA and SpaceX, and I kind of understood. So I was just like, okay, no biggie. I said, I'm going to go back and tell him that it's never going to happen like I told him it wasn't going to happen, and that was basically it.
So they almost thought you were like a what's the term? Like somebody I don't want to say a shill, but you know what I'm saying? Like you're sort of working, trying to do some covert thing to connect
Like
NASA.
Yeah, like a liaison for them.
Liaison,
Yeah.
there you go. That's the word.
Yeah. No, yeah. And I was just like, and the funny thing is like my boss for SpaceX, I mean, this dude was in charge of SOCOM. I mean, in Tampa. I mean, this guy, like I still have his resume on my phone just because it's so impressive. It's like 5 pages long, and it's crazy. And to work for that guy was amazing. I mean, he'd be sitting there talking to you, and you thought you knew shit.
Yeah.
You'd be like, I don't know what the hell this guy's talking about.
Yeah. Like, whoops. I guess.
Yeah.
Guess I don't have a clue.
Right. Yeah.
But then I worked for them for a year, and my buddy owned a company called Titanium Black over in Orlando, and he would do like a lot of high profile people, and I have my it's a D&G license, so a D does basic security, and a G is for firearms in the state of Florida, so you can work off center and stuff like that. Like I can't really do it with Brevard County because it's a they don't allow you to work armed off the clock for them, just in case you shoot somebody and they go, the first thing they do is they go, oh, he's a Brevard County deputy, so
and is that their service weapon? Is that the one they issue you is the one that's your service weapon? Yeah.
I have a service weapon, but whenever I did private stuff, it was my own stuff. So and but which is funny because the state of Florida, for the G license, they'll take your qualifications for Brevard County, so you don't have to actually go, take the class or anything like that. So it was easy for me to get the licensing. I just had to pay the thing and show my records and stuff like that and what I've done. But so my buddy called me up, and I had been with SpaceX for about, I don't know, 7 months, going on 8. and he called me up and he said, "Hey, can you take a couple weeks off and go down and do this protection for this one individual?" His name his name is I don't know if you guys ever heard of this name, but his name is Lev Parnas.
No, I don't recognize him.
He's a Ukrainian guy, businessman that he got arrested by the FBI for contribution fraud for Trump.
Oh, shit.
But this was after this happened after I started working for him. So I go, okay, so I go, yeah, I'll go down. I asked if I can take a couple weeks off from SpaceX, and I had enough time, so I went down there. I worked down there in Boca Florida, Boca Raton, Florida, and just did some private security for the guy. And I met with him the first day, and he's like, I guess he'd been on TV for a couple things. He's a huge Trump supporter, and he had this company called GEP, Global Energy Producers, where he was gonna supply Europe with U.S. natural gas and cut Russia out, right? So that was his plan. So it was great idea, and I mean Trump was all about it, and we'll get into the people that he was around and stuff like that. But so he goes, "Hey, I've been threatened on live TV from Russian mafia and stuff like that." So this is day one. So it was just like, am I going to take this job or not type deal. So we met for lunch, and he said, "This is what's going on. This is why I need protection, and and my company and all this stuff." And I said, "Yeah." I said, "I'll do it for 2 weeks." And so at the end of the 2 weeks, I told him, I was like, "Hey, it's been nice working with you." I said, tomorrow will be my last day. I said, "Somebody's coming to take my place." Well, Lev goes, he goes, "Where are you going?" I said, "I have a job." I said, "Unlike all these other kids," because we had a team of 4. You'd work 2 weeks on, and then and after my 2 weeks, there was going to be another team of 4. So, and it was all through this company, Titanium Black. So, he goes, "Well, I want you to stay." And I was like, "Well," I said, "unlike all these other people, I have a job." I said, "These other people, this is what they do." I said, "They work for, this other company." I said, "I'm just doing it to help my buddy out because he didn't have enough people to cover this shift." And he goes, "Well, you get a hold of," he had his right hand man. He goes, you tell his name was David Correa. He goes, you contact him and tell him how much you want a year." And he goes, "And I'm offering you a job." And I was just like, "Okay." So I said, "Hey, give me 150 a year." And he just kind of giggled and he goes, "I'll give you 135 and all medical." And I was like, "Okay, I'm coming."
So that was it. You worked for that guy then?
So yes, I worked for him for a little while.
Wow.
I wouldn't say for very long, but I worked for him for a little while. It was a bad dream though, because it was like, as soon as I got down there, I mean, anything we wanted, we could get. So it was just like, we had 4 Escalades, all decked out. We had our own like house and stuff like that. So, but there was only 2 guys that had contracts. There was me and another guy out of he was out of Coca. He was a Coco. He retired out of Coca PD. But we were the ones that had contracts. And I said, "Hey, the thing is like, if I take this job," I said, "I want to hire my own team." I said, "I want my own 4-man team." And he goes, "Okay, anybody you want." So I got in touch with all my SWAT guys and military guys, friends and stuff. And I said, "Hey, would you guys want to work?" And I was like, "This is what you're getting paid." And so they all, hell yeah. And they put in for it. And a couple of the guys put in their 2-week notice.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. Well, the 2 week, my first 2 weeks down there, some shit, went off and he basically fired everybody that was down there, even the other guy that had the contract, and it was just me. And all these other guys thought that it was my fault, right? And I was like, "Dude, this is my like second day back." I said, how the hell did I get you guys fired like that?" And I was just like, and it was because they were just doing dumb shit. They were like taking their kids to go get McDonald's without even asking. They were,
oh yeah,
forgetting to pick up their kids, and I mean, dumb shit, just stupid shit. And 2 of the guys, they were armed and they weren't even licensed to be armed. And I'm just like, "Dude, you shoot somebody, you're going to prison." And he's getting fined and probably going to prison too. I was like, "Nah." I told those guys because they were mad because I'm following the rules,
right.
So they, for 2 weeks, while I was working on my own and trying to get my buddies, hired, I'm sitting there sleeping on the couch because there was two entrances into the house that we had. Well, they still had the code. It was a push button code, a cipher code. So I slept on the couch with my gun in my hand, looking at both doors because I didn't know what those fucking guys were gonna do. So
Yeah.
after 2 weeks, I'd get up at 4:30. I'd have to be at their house at 5. And I mean, I'd either run Lev around or I'd run the family around, and it was kind of hectic. So for those first 2 weeks. And then after that, she calls me one night, the wife, and Lev's wife calls me, and she goes, because at a certain point in time, they lived in a gated community. I lived like a mile down the road. Our house is a mile down the road. Because they were getting ready to buy a house, so we'd have protection 24/7 within that same house. So I told you the way we had it set up was kind of fucked up, and with me being separate at night, as it really doesn't make any sense. So anyway, they're working all that out. But she called me and she goes, "Hey," she goes, "Oh my God, somebody's banging on the door." And so I grab my gun and I run out the door and jump in the car. And I said, I'm on the phone with her. I said, "Hey, don't answer the door." I said, "Call the sheriff's office." I said, "I'm on my way." So she hangs up on me. So call her back. I said, "Don't hang up on me." I said, "Ask who they are." She said, "They said they're the FBI."
Oh, shit.
I said, don't
man.
do not open that door. I said, if they want in, I said, they'll break it down. I said, they'll pay for it. And so she hangs up on me again. And I'm like, I call the sheriff's office and, tell them. And well, when I get there, I mean, shit, it only been maybe 7 minutes or something like that. By the time I got there was 40 cars down the road and 2 sheriff's cars.
Oh.
So here I am in plain clothes, because that's how we work, regular security, and I have my gun
armed.
yeah, and I'm armed, and I put my gun away. I was like, I'm not walking up to these people like that. So I go up to the deputy, and I was like, "Hey, look, can I go up there?" And they go, "No." And I was like, "Well, I'm her detail." I was like, "Can I go up there and at least find out what's going on?" And they kind of give me shit, and I was like, "Hey, man, look," I said, "I know how it goes." I said, "I was federal." I was like, because for NASA, we're federal law enforcement officers. So I was like, I was federal, and he goes, "For who?" And I go, "For NASA." I was on the SWAT team there, and he goes, "Well, let me go ask the FBI, what's going on." So this lady comes out and she goes, who was in charge of the FBI, and she goes, "Hey, you work for NASA?" And I was like, "Yeah." She goes, "Oh, we used to train with you guys." Because we did. We trained with like Secret Service, FBI, anytime they'd come down and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So she comes out, she goes, "You can stay." She goes, "Just don't cause any problems." I said, "Oh, no problems." So I stayed there. She goes, we'll be quick." This was at 9:30. They left at 4 a.m. And because they found the safe in there, and they thought, "Oh, there's something in there." And they broke into the safe. There was like old receipts, 15-year-old receipts, nothing.
Nothing important.
Nothing important.
Nothing to see here.
Lev was in New York, and he was flying out of New York to go to Vienna, where like his money guy was. And I don't think I want to say his name, but he's worth
Be careful, man.
Yeah, he's worth a lot of money.
Yeah.
But
we won't go further. We won't pry too much.
yeah.
Before that, we're going to need your security pretty soon.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing is I still had a security clearance, like through the military and stuff like that, and through NASA. So all this shit's going down, and I'm like, fuck, I don't want to ruin that. But I will tell you how much his guy was worth. He was worth, at that point, he was worth $66 billion.
Holy shit.
So,
well,
and he was funding Lev's company, GEP. So, and GEP, if it would have got off the ground, it would have been great for America. It would have been great for Lev. It would just been great all around. But since that same night when the FBI hit the house, the FBI arrested Lev because he was in New York. They arrested him on the tarmac, getting ready to get on the plane to go to Vienna. So, and he always, because like businessmen, they always buy a one-way ticket, and
because they're not coming back.
Well, because they don't really know when they're going to come back. So they'll buy a ticket there, and then they'll wait and be like, "Okay, I guess I got to leave on Tuesday." So they thought he's trying to leave the country, right? Well, and his whole family, he's got like a bunch of kids and a wife, and there's like, I don't think he's really going to leave his family. He's like he's a great family guy. Lev was, and he is a great guy, but he's just, when you get around people like that, that have money, and there's corruption everywhere. And I mean, yep. I couldn't take it. I mean, I just being around all those people, and we'd go up to DC, and he would sit there and have meetings with Giuliani, and I'd be sitting there off to the side and hearing stuff, which is another thing.
Shit.
That
You're hearing stuff you shouldn't be hearing.
Oh yeah. I heard stuff.
We won't go into details on that, obviously.
Okay, yeah.
One thing is we do not edit anything, so just so you know.
we can't. We can't get pardoned 15 minutes before.
Yeah, I don't know, man, because I think I'm pretty good with Trump.
Right. It's helped his buddy out, so you know.
Yeah, wow. Cool, man. Well, so anyway, so now like you said, you're at a more of a smaller scale in some ways, obviously.
I mean, Brevard's kind of big, but it's Brevard's one of the biggest counties in Florida. But yeah,
like, obviously that's a big state, so maybe
but
not.
it's different. It's definitely different, and it's just like and every county is different, and even the city cops and stuff like that, they're all different, but everybody goes through a change. Like law enforcement, military, it all comes in waves, right? So it's like even like your teams, like your SWAT teams and stuff like that, it all comes in waves. You have a high point to where everybody's like dialed in. You got like your dream team, and for some reason somebody leaves, and or somebody gets a better job, and they move on, and so then you go back and down to a downslope, and you hit you hit your lows. Then you got to build your team back up. It's always like that. And right now, I guess for Brevard, we're going through our contract, and that's usually when you hit your lows, when you're going through your contract. So it's like money, money's hard, especially nowadays. So it's like everybody wants more money, and so people leave, and then we're getting a lot of that. People leave and going to different counties, and because they're making more money. So it's just like, what do you do?
So you're a deputy, right? Like you're actually going out on patrol type thing. What, you there, or you do more field training stuff?
No, I'm not an FTO. I'm just a regular road deputy, but I work in Cape Canaveral. So we have 4 zones. We have north, east, south, and west. And I work it's part of east. It's Canaveral. So our area is super small. It does the Port Canaveral, where all the cruise terminals go out of, and it's right there next to the Air Force. It's hard to Air Force, the Space Force station. It's right there, so it's kind of part of our property. Well, I mean, Kennedy Space Center and the Space Force station. It's in Brevard, so it's like it's all our property. Anytime they have like warrants or stuff like that, the Space Center and stuff like that, we'll go out there and pick up their warrants, and if they have drugs, we'll go out there and pick up their drugs. There's all kinds of drugs washed up on shore all the time.
I'm sure. Wow, man, that's well, here's a cop question for you, because I always wonder. I watch a shitload of body cam videos, and sometimes I'll see they'll have somebody in cuffs, and they'll say, okay, I've got to read you your rights. And of course, the suspect's being just a complete asshole, and they're going, no, fuck you, I don't want to hear it. So if you're trying to read their rights and they're doing that, is that still valid, or could the person later say, well, they didn't hear what you said because they were being a dick, be a douchebag? How do you do that? How do you work around that?
Well, as long as it's being recorded. I mean, like you say, the only reason why we're going to read them their rights is if we're going to ask them any questions.
Right?
So, I mean, we're gonna arrest you no matter what. So
sure.
If we have probable cause, we're gonna take you to jail, and then we'll just have your lawyer. We'll ask the question with the lawyer present. But no, that's what we all do. We'll read the rights, and at the end we go, do you understand these rights, and do you wish to answer any of my questions? If they say no, that's it. We stop and we take them to jail, and then let the lawyers deal with it.
So the fact you've already read them the rights, it doesn't matter whether they understood them or heard them. It's just like, okay, dude, well, I gave you that opportunity. You didn't take it. Kind of. That's the way you guys.
Well, they can always change their mind though, too. And there's spontaneous utterance. So it's like if they just start, I don't even have to read you your rights. If you just start telling me what went down, as long as I didn't ask you a question, as long as you're sitting there going, well, this is what happened. I killed that guy over there, blah, blah, blah.
Oh, and you just run your mouth. Yeah.
Yep. That's all admissible. And then it's the point to where if I'm going to ask you a question, you're like, okay, I know you told me all that, but hey, I just need it. I want to read you your rights. And then you read it to them. Then you can ask them any question you want, but you can't ask them any questions until you do that. Because if you do, it's inadmissible in court.
I see. So if they're doing the whole thing of, just because someone will just do it just to be assholes, like, I don't care. And they're doing the la, I can't hear you, kind of like a kid,
Well, we get sovereign citizens. We get those all the time.
Yeah.
You pull up to them, and they'll either they won't roll their window down, or they'll just roll it down just a little bit. And it's just like, hey, this is a legit stop. It's like, if you don't identify yourself, I said, I'll pull you out of that car. So and people don't realize that you have to ID yourself. You broke the law. You have to ID yourself.
Right.
So
right.
I'm like me being me. I'm not like the first thing I do. I don't do a lot of traffic. I mean, there's like I do traffic stops, but I don't write like tickets. I don't believe in taking money from people. So it's just like, although I mean, if you're gonna be a complete dick to me, I'm gonna write a ticket. You are getting stroked. You are gonna have to pay some money. But for my thing is like, as long as I give you a warning and say, hey, and if I catch you again and I've already given you a warning, yeah, you're getting a ticket. But as long as I give you a warning, kind of scare you, hey, look, this is what's going to happen. Because nobody has the money to pay a speeding ticket. It's crazy. The amount of money that it costs. Like, our thing is like, my big thing is passing school buses. I mean, it kind of sounds stupid, but it's one of our things. It's like, we don't have a solid median in the road of A1As or Astronaut Boulevard. So people think they can still go, but if, I'll pull them over. That's almost $400. It's $370. But, I just warn them and say, hey, look, you can't do that.
Yeah.
That's wow.
That's definitely,
that's funny. You bring up sovereign citizens. We actually had Corey Flowers on a few years ago. I don't know if you're familiar with him. Out of South Carolina.
I'm horrible with names.
Okay. I guess he goes around the country, I believe, and trains certain departments on dealing with sovereign citizens. So we've broached that topic before. He's had quite some interesting stuff to say too.
Pretty insane. Yeah.
I don't do that. I think there's something mental with those people. I just don't understand.
Oh, and it's gotta be.
Well, the funny thing is like, if you look in sovereign citizens, the only law enforcement people that they recognize is the sheriff. Well, guess what? I'm a deputy sheriff, and you're coming at me like you're not going to ID yourself. You by the law of sovereign citizen, I guess you could say, you're supposed to recognize me because I'm a deputy sheriff. But no, we get people they're just fucked up in the head, and they really don't understand what a sovereign citizen is.
And not only that, but it's
I'm
not
a free
about
traveler of this land. Whatever.
It's just about them not taking responsibility for what they're doing. It's basically just a way that they don't have to worry about doing it.
Oh, so a liberal. Okay, I got you.
Yeah,
pretty much.
Well, it can be definitely their mindsets. At least the new school. At least I think old school liberals, man, at least like
our grandparents or something.
Yeah, because like I said, but modern day liberals, absolutely.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah. When did it change? Because I don't really understand.
Oh God, it's been changing slowly for a long time. But man, I don't know. Yeah, it's like personal responsibility. It's something that,
I'm thinking after Clinton left. I'm thinking
right around then, right around the 90s is when it really started, and it also started with the parental stuff about the participation trophies and all that shit. Started right about the same time, because you can't be responsible. It's not their fault. They tried, Jimmie tried. Jimmie got 12th in the 12-person race, but he tried.
Yeah. Here's your trophy for
exactly. So then they got a trophy for that. So now they expect it for everything.
See that's the problem, because that fucks with kids to not want to try hard. Yeah. So now you have all these kids just like, oh, as long as I show up, it's good to go. Hell no, man. I remember my dad. I remember growing up playing football. Me and my brother played football, and I remember the one ref had a bad call, and it was during my brother's game, and my dad comes over and goes, hey, I'll give you $20 if you run over and hit that ref. This is like the next play, right? And he's just like, and my brother's like, okay. The play went left. My brother and the ref was on the right. My brother went way out off the play and goes and hits his ref. He gets kicked out, and my dad gives him $20 and he goes, good job.
Wow.
Well, see, there's an incentive now. Instead of just, oh, you're there and you're on the field, never mind you suck. Now it's like, hey, I actually did something good.
Well, and then of course, like people see, it's just everywhere. You can't get away from it now. Like it's either medication or it's like you said, sovereign citizen. Oh, this is the way I can. Because when little Jimmie can't play sports, it's not because little Jimmie isn't good at the sport, And if he isn't good at the sport, there's a reason. He's still trying. He's still doing his. So now you got these sovereign citizens like oh, how can I find a way to not have to actually be like own up to shit,
Well, I mean, hey, that's a part of life. Some people are born with abilities that others aren't. Like shit, man.
Absolutely.
I'm only 5'8". Like so, when I was growing up, I was always like the little kid. But I'll tell you what, growing up playing, I played all the way up till high school football, and I played for a year and a half in high school, and I mean, everybody grew and I didn't, and I actually got hit so hard. I had a stinger and I couldn't feel my hands and my feet. So my mom's like, "That's the last time you play." And I was just like, and it was different because like growing up, I could play pretty much any position. And in high school, it's just like, no, it was like totally different, man. I was just like, and I told myself, I was like, I mean, I had to go to physical therapy for my neck. I was just like, hey, and shit, I just arrested a guy 2 days ago. That guy was 7 foot tall. I was
Oh
like,
shit.
yeah, he was ginormous. I was just like, super nice guy. Actually played pro basketball for a while, and but now he's just like he was from South Africa, but now he's trying to get his citizenship and got a wife here, kid, and but yeah, he got arrested for some dumb shit. But
Can you imagine if he fought with you? What a bitch of a time that would be.
oh my God, we had three, we had three cops there, and I was just like, as soon as I pull up, I look back at my partner and I go, "Fuck," like that. I was just like, I don't have to deal with this guy.
But you
And
can be
his arms,
anything,
dude,
though.
his arms were ginormous. I mean, like if he wanted to beat the shit out of all three of us, he probably could have. He probably could. And I guess I know my abilities, but
But that's part of it too, is that that you can do anything generation. Like, "Oh, you can be anything. You're special." It's like,
no,
no,
you
people
can't.
are,
No, you cannot.
no, you can't
Right.
do anything. You can't be anything. Yes, you can if you believe. That whole
That's
Yeah.
brainwashing
ridiculous.
shit that all the '90s and kids and
Yeah.
even some of the '80s kids a little bit. The '80s movies, like you can be anything. The one-legged dude playing basketball with Magic Johnson. Whatever.
Well, or even the Barbie commercials. We girls can do anything, right?
Yeah, we
Barbie?
can do anything if you put your mind to it. And if you really, so it's like, that's crazy, man. Yeah, the world's
Yeah, yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, now they're complaining about the guys being in their sports. I thought you said you could do anything you wanted to. No,
Yeah.
I totally disagree with that too. Though I
Yeah,
mean,
so do I.
I'm
I
in
think
sports.
anybody with a rational mind, like you're like
Yeah.
for you, like you would like it'd be like you going, you know what? I can play in the NBA. Does it matter? I don't matter. Doesn't matter how good you are. There's a reason why there's not very many people that are under 6'2" in the NBA. And
Well,
it's
what's funny
because of
is,
the skill set needed to play that game
yeah,
less
yeah,
effectively.
everybody has abilities, and I don't
Yeah.
have that ability. But the funny thing is like when I was on the SWAT team for NASA, there's a radio station in Orlando. It's called the Monsters of the Midday, and they do and I listen to them all the time, and well, I used to, but they had this guy on there. He was called Drunky the Bear, and he would do all these
Okay.
like stupid stunts, And
Yeah.
so there was a football team in Orlando, the arena football called the Predators. Well,
Okay.
during the halftime, he would do like a show. Well, he came across he had this idea that he wanted to rappel from the Jumbotron at the Amway Center, come down, get on this motorcycle, and jump his boss's truck. He was going to jump over the truck with this little
Oh,
mini
shit.
bike.
Oh boy.
So he goes, I need, if there's any rappel masters out there, give me a call. So I called him and I was like, hey, I'm a rappel master. So what do you need? And he goes, come teach me how to rappel. And he goes, and come to the game and be my belay. And I was like, okay, cool. So I did. I went over there and taught him how to rappel, and I went to the game, and it was so funny. He's like, he couldn't get the motorcycle started, and he like push started and finally got it started. Didn't get up to speed, jumped the thing. The motorcycle landed on the roof, put a big ass dent in it.
Shit.
It was funny as shit. But the owner of the team, the Predators, said, "Hey, would you guys your SWAT team want to do the beginning ceremony of the before the game every game?" He goes, "I'll pay you $200 and you guys can drink for free and watch the game." I was like, "Are you serious? Hell yeah!" So
Right.
we would rappel from the Amway, the Jumbotron, and come down and meet up with the cheerleaders and do all that stuff at the bottom. And they play like they always played Phil Collins in the Air Tonight, and we'd come down and do that. Oh man, it was such a blast. But that was the thing you were saying, the abilities and the size and stuff. So when I first went there, I was like, arena football. I said, man, I was pretty good at football. I can play this. Shit. I saw those guys. The smallest guy was like a foot taller than me and just ginormous. And all those guys were like guys that couldn't make it into the NFL, but were good enough. They just didn't make it. I was like,
Yeah.
man, it was impressive to watch those guys play football.
Yeah, I bet. So, Max, do you have any other questions? About the go? I know what you wanted to go into.
Let's hear. Let's hear about Cicada. What's that?
Exactly. That's where I was
Cicada
going to go
Tactical.
anyways.
Yep. Let's hear about that, man, because this is your business now.
Yeah. So right now I hold 4 U.S. patents on a few items. I have a bullpup, which so right now the thing is like that whole thing where you have to have money to make money. That's 100%. So like when I say Cicada, it's on the, I just started. So I have my grip right now. It's out. I have a patent on that.
What's the website again, just to make sure?
Oh, cicadatactical.com. CICADA tactical.com.
Yep.
But so right now
we'll get that information again at the end of the interview as well too, but and we'll link it, of course. But go ahead, continue.
So right now it's like one of the products that I have. I actually got in touch with a company that's overseas. They're called Meprolite. They this is where you learn. It's a learning experience, not to trust people, but I have a patent on the thing. I call one of my buddies that was he was a part of a dev group, and which is like the SEAL teams and stuff. And I got in touch with him, and he's like, hey, well, one of the operators got out, and now he's working for SIG and their R&D department. Get in touch with them and show them what you have. So I had the 2 patents at the time. I had the bullpup, and I have a patent that's for LED illuminated weapon sights. So instead of using tritium, it uses LEDs to illuminate your rifle sights, rear and front, and they're battery powered. And the cool thing about it is like, so tritium only comes in 4 colors. Tritium's always producing light. You can't turn it off. It's radioactive. So some countries overseas, like Germany, they don't. It's illegal over there. You can't have it. So it's illegal in a few countries. There's a shelf life of like 10 to 12 years for tritium, and which my sights, they're battery operated. You can get over 150,000 hours off of one little LED. Mine come in 3 different colors, or actually any color, because it can be programmed. But right now mine come in red, green, and blue. And so mine can be turned off. Mine can be dimmable, which is tritium cannot dim tritium. So it's just like that's the one product that it's actually coming out at the beginning of this year. I'm pretty much done with it. But so I got in touch with Meprolite. They're an Israeli company, and not knowing, hey, I don't, I'm not a business guy. I've never done. I mean, I had a business. I had like
that must be a crazy jumping from what you've done to business.
Like we said, yeah.
Oh my God. Okay, so I am pretty lucky when it comes to that, because I have 2 backers. They're really good friends of mine. One's a big financial guy, and one's a lawyer. So it's like anytime I need lawyer advice, I just run to him, and like the financial guy does all our
financial shit.
The taxes and stuff. So and basically I designed all my own products using SolidWorks and stuff like that. So and I do have like a lot of buddies that do CAD for like NASA and Blue Origin and stuff like that. And one of the companies was called NAS. The guy that owns it, I don't know if I want to say his name either, because he does a lot of government stuff, but he sold it, but he's a what's that? What do you call that? Where you're Mensa, where you're like super smart.
Mensa.
Yes.
Oh yeah,
Mensa.
yeah.
Yeah.
He's a Mensa guy, and so to talk to him, it's really hard. But he, like, I'd show him something, and he'd go unmachinable like that, and I'm like, well, why? And he goes, and he'd go off on a tangent, and I'm like, okay, I'm cool with just unmachinable. I don't know what you're talking about. So, but like everything goes through variations. Your first product's not going to be your main product. So I have been super lucky, dealing with like other companies. There's a company called Diamondback Firearms. They've been super, super supportive. Like every show they go to, they bring my grip with them, and it's always on their rifle. They're super awesome. The owner's awesome. Their main firearms guy's awesome. There's a company called Law Tactical. They're phenomenal. Like he's actually the guy that reached out to me when I was, because I know nothing about, like building stuff and like getting it out there. So when I first started doing it, I would like 3D print it, and I would immediately put it on like social media. This guy called me, and another buddy of mine owns a big company out here called Bansbach Easy Lift. They both told me that, hey, stop doing that. He goes, you don't have a product. You may have a patent on it because you don't have a product. He goes, wait until it's done to get it out there. So sure enough, I try to listen to him, but sometimes I get excited. I want to put it out there. But so Law Tactical, he's been super supportive. He calls me up and he goes, hey, look, I see you've been putting these things. He goes, stop doing that. And he goes, and I see you want all these products to be out there at once. He goes, pick one. He goes, go with one. And he goes, my advice is to go with the grip, because the actual mount that I make, it has other options. Like it has a flashlight attachment, it has an RMR reflex sight attachment. But those things, like I said, it takes money to make money. Those things are in the works. I just have to, once the grip starts taking off and the sights start taking off, I can, do all my other projects that I want to do. So, but I helped design a couple products for a couple companies. So, I mean, like my background it does help. Like my grip was specifically made for SWAT guys and operators, and teams and stuff like that, just for comfort and for quick target acquisition and longevity and stuff like that. So there is a reason behind it.
That's badass. You're actually supposed to be out here. You told me for some kind of show this week, right?
Yeah, the SHOT Show. I'm actually still looking at plane tickets to come out there. As long as if I can leave by tomorrow sometime, I'm going to go out there. But Diamondback, they're out there. They have a couple of my products. They're on their rifles and stuff like that. It's a super hard industry. I didn't think it would be, especially, I mean, you're around it, right? I mean, I've been on teams and stuff like that, and you see all these guys and you work with these guys, and my guys say, hey, this, because anytime I come up with something, I would send it to my guy that worked at Dev Group. He passed away, but I would send it to him and he would give it to the team guys and they would run it and they would let me know. And they don't hold anything back. Hey, this is a piece of shit. Hey, you need to change it here. You need to do that. And I tell them, I say, hey, don't, be truth, honest, because I don't want to put a piece of crap out there. I to work. I want it to, function. I don't want to make something I don't want to make like a product that's like goofy, I want it to be able to do something. So, and it's gone through a bunch of generations, and I think right now it's at a good one. So, I'm putting it out there. So, and hopefully the site within the next couple months, I'll actually have them on my website.
That's pretty incredible, man. Being just the way life works. You started off wanting to be a dentist, so you go to the mill, you're doing that, and the only reason why you didn't go down that road is because of that, and it just leads to all that. It's been great. Any other questions, Max? Or
I believe that's it. Why don't you give out all your whatever you want given out as far as like your website and your social medias, if you want, whatever you want people to know. It's now time to go spit it out.
Okay. So the website is basically cicadatactical.com. You can go email me anytime at cicadatactical@gmail.com. Feel free. I mean, my phone's on there. All my contact information's on my website. Feel free to send a message. I have an Instagram. I have a Facebook. They're all Cicada Tactical. So feel free to reach out if you have any questions, any comments, any gripes, complaints. Feel free to send them. I like negativity just as much as positivity because it helps me grow.
Awesome, man.
Right on. Well, hang on with us. We're going to just shut it down real quick, and we're just going to close it out real quick. So, this has been the interview with Jimmie Wright of Cicada Tactical and many other things. Again, a gym of all trades.
Yep.
I'm Maxwell Silverhammer.
I'm Cruise Control. And that's the story
there.
Bitches. Later.
See ya.
We are nothing sacred. We are nothing sacred. We are nothing sacred.
With Maxwell Silverhammer.
We are nothing sacred. With cruise control. We are nothing sacred.